This is 3D Cadence, and I'm excited to present the biggest update for the Polygon Smoothing Groups add-on. There are so many new features that I've decided to show everything from scratch. Even if you've been using the add-on for a while, believe me, you'll see it in a completely new light. So, what is it for? This add-on is designed for everyone who wants to quickly and conveniently manage shading, sharp edges, and UV seams on their models. It transforms tedious manual work into a powerful and intuitive process, giving you precise control over the final look of your model. And the biggest change you'll notice right away is the completely new interface. No more scattered menus. Now, all the key tools are grouped into one logical block, right at your fingertips. Additionally, to unify all our products, the add-on has moved to a new tab, 3D Cadence. But this is just the beginning. Now, let's dive into the details. Let's get started and activate our add-on. We can immediately see that Auto Sharp mode is active, and there is also an Auto Seam mode. The logic of these modes is absolutely identical. The only difference is that Auto Sharp mode assigns sharp edges, and Auto Seam mode assigns seams. Next, we have two buttons, Display Sharps and Display Seam. They simply toggle the display of the corresponding type of edges. Let's begin. I'll isolate our model for clarity. First, I want to look at the group by angle function. We'll set the angle value and press the button. The groups have been assigned. The next new feature in the add-on is the group preview function. We can see that by activating this mode and hovering over a polygon with a group, an indicator appears highlighting the entire island of that group, and the number of the assigned group is also displayed next to the cursor. While in this mode, we have access to several key combinations. If we press the Alt key, hold down the left mouse button, and start dragging, we have the ability to merge groups that fall within our selection. While in this mode, we can press Alt and click on an island. The entire island belonging to this group will be selected. Next, while in this mode, we have the option to manually draw smoothing groups. If we press Ctrl plus Alt and the left mouse button and start dragging, we can see the drawing happen, and we are assigning the group. If we press Ctrl plus Shift plus Alt and start drawing, we remove the assigned groups from the polygons we draw over. Next, if we press the left mouse button with Alt held down and start dragging while the cursor is on an island that does not belong to a group, we will be removing the smoothing group from the island we are dragging over. I also want to note and draw your attention to the fact that islands that do not have smoothing groups assigned are highlighted in red. Next, while in this mode, we can press the left Alt key and click on an island with the left mouse button. The entire island will be selected. Then we can simply apply any group number to it, or just press Assign Random Group, and a random group value will be applied. So, the logic for manually assigning groups has remained the same. When a group is selected, its number is displayed. We can click on a different number, and that number will be assigned to the selection. If we select polygons that belong to different groups, we see that their numbers are no longer displayed. This indicates that the selection contains polygons belonging to different groups. And we have the option to change the group numbers of these two selections to a common, different number with a single click. It is also convenient to use the Assign Random Group button, which applies a random group. It always takes into account the groups that are adjacent to our selection to avoid assigning the same number as a neighboring group and to prevent the merging of sharp edges. Let's break down the group copy function. The key feature of the add-on is that it supports two independent layers of groups, one for Auto Sharp mode and another for Auto Seam mode. This allows you to have completely different layouts for sharp edges and UV seams on the same model. The Copy button serves to quickly transfer the group structure from one layer to another, saving you from having to do the work twice. Its name and function change depending on which mode you have active. It always copies groups from your currently active mode to the other, inactive mode. Let's imagine you are working in Auto Sharp mode and have already set up all the groups exactly as you need them. Now you want to create UV seams along these same boundaries. Without switching modes, you simply press the button, which is currently named Copy to Seams. The add-on has copied your layout from the Sharp layer to the Seam layer. Now, if you switch to Auto Seam mode, you will see that the UV seams have been created along the same boundaries as your sharp edges. This same principle works in reverse. If Auto Seam mode is active, the button will be named Copy to Sharps and will copy the groups from the seam layer to the sharp layer. Thus, both sets of groups exist in parallel, and you can work with them independently, synchronizing them with this convenient button when necessary. Now let's look at two functions that serve opposite purposes: Clear for clearing groups and Initialize for creating them based on pre-existing boundaries. Let's start with the clear function. Its task is simple: to remove polygons from their smoothing groups, effectively making them ungrouped. It works in two modes, depending on your selection. If you have something selected, clear will only work on the selected polygons, removing them from their current groups. If there is no selection, the function will clear the groups on the entire model. This is especially important to remember when you have Auto Sharp or Auto Seam modes active. Since these modes create boundaries based on group differences, after clearing the groups, the add-on will automatically remove the corresponding sharp edges or seams from the processed area. Now let's move on to the Initialize from Boundaries function. Let's simulate a situation. Imagine you have a model with ready-made sharp edges but without configured add-on groups. First, we activate Auto Sharp mode. Then, we press the Limit from Sharps button. A warning dialog box will appear. This is an important step because the operation will completely overwrite all existing smoothing groups on the model to create new ones based on your boundaries. After confirmation, the add-on will analyze all the sharp edges or seams, identify the islands they form, and automatically assign each such island its own unique group. This way, you don't lose the work you've already done, but seamlessly convert it into the add-on's group system, after which you can continue working with the full set of tools. Now let's look at a useful toggle called Strict Mode. When using the Group by Angle function on complex models with many small details, such as chamfers or individual flat polygons, you can get a huge number of unnecessary, junk groups consisting of just one polygon. This clutters the model and complicates further work. Strict Mode is, in essence, a filter for the Group by Angle operation. When it is off, Group by Angle processes absolutely all polygons. When it is on, Group by Angle will ignore all islands that consist of only one polygon during its analysis and will not assign them a group. These polygons will remain ungrouped. Imagine you are applying Group by Angle to a complex panel with many small, flat details. Without Strict Mode, you will get the main groups on the large surfaces, as well as dozens of separate groups for each small detail. With Strict Mode enabled, you will get the same main groups, but all the small, single polygons will be ignored and will remain without a group. This allows you to quickly create the main, significant smoothing groups first, while filtering out the unnecessary noise from small details. You get a clean and predictable result that is much more convenient to work with. The next new feature is the Island Select function. It works when the group preview is not active. You simply left-click on a polygon, and the entire island of the group it belongs to is selected. This is for convenience if, for example, you are not using the preview and want to quickly select a group. The next function is Select by Smoothing Group. We can simply select all polygons with the same group number. We can select all or deselect. The next block to consider is the Tools block. It is divided into 3 sub-blocks. The Sharp Tools and Seam Tools blocks are absolutely identical tools, they just work with sharps and seams, respectively. You can also perform combinations to work with them together. Let's turn on the display of sharps and see that the seams are not assigned. I can select the sharps using the Select Sharps tool. Now, all the edges that have sharps assigned are selected. And then I can go to the Seam Tools block and press Seam from Selection. In this way, we have converted the selection of sharp edges into seams. You can select edges, deselect them, or assign them. Select groups and press Sharp from Selection, and the assignment will happen on the boundaries of the selection. You can also select geometry by vertices, edges, or polygons. An interesting function is selection to border. Let's see how it works. We will deselect with unsharp selection. Next, we can press selection to border, and only the perimeter of our selection will be highlighted. Then we can press sharp from selection, thereby assigning sharps to our selection. And the last tool, we can make a selection and apply shade flat selected to it. If we switch, we will see that we have simply removed the smoothing from our selection. And in the same way, accordingly, we can just press shade smooth selected, and if we exit to object mode, we will see that we have returned our smooth to our selection in its initial state. The next function is the call of the pie menu. This is for quick access to the tools you need if you don't want to work with a lot of hotkeys. You can always assign one key and thus have access to the entire add-on without having to go to the side panel. And the last point will be the transition to the add-on settings. We see that we have a checkbox where we can set which mode to activate automatically when the add-on is turned on, either Auto Sharp or Auto Seam. We can also automatically enable Auto Active Group Preview. We can adjust the color and transparency of our highlighting in the Group Preview mode. And also for our interaction and improvement of the add-on, there is a function to enable logging to a file. And also the Key Maps tab, in which you can assign a hotkey to any button of the add-on for quick interaction and to speed up your work. So that's the big update. I truly hope these new tools will dramatically improve your workflow. I'd be very interested to read your feedback, so feel free to join our Discord server. As always, the link is in the description. Happy modeling in Blender!